Buick. Let's see a show of hands. How many of you have grandparents that owned a Buick? You know, those massive land yachts, right? That you were embarrassed to be seen in as a kid. Well, it's 2025 and Buick is still around and they're actually showing strong sales numbers. So how about a little bit of history? Buick is actually the oldest automaker in the US, started back in 1899 by Donald Buick. But a fun fact, they're actually older than Ford Motor Company. And the best part about it is Buick actually started General Motors. So the ultimate question is, why is Buick still here? How is it all of these years later they have been able to survive? Oldsmobile, which was actually older than Buick, they went away in 2004. I mean, that was the same year that Friends ran their last episode. Charm bracelets faded away and those low-cut jeans found their way into the back of your closet. So again, I'll ask it. Why is Buick still here? Oh, you're going to really dig on this one. Did you know that 80% of all Buicks are sold in China? That's right. China is one of the biggest purchasers of Buick products. And in that country, it's highly regarded as one of the most luxurious vehicles that you can buy. Hard to believe that an American brand like Buick has its best sales figures over in another country. Well, we're going to dig in. We're going to show you guys what this is all about. I'm Mike Caudill. This is Chasing Horsepower. And this over my shoulder is the 2025 Buick Envista. My grandfather actually owned a 1972 Buick Skylark. It was candy apple red, and we used to take it up to the lake every single summer. I loved it. It was so big and boxy, rode like a Cadillac, suspension was soft, and had massive bucket seats in the back. I can vividly remember my grandfather playing Stevie Wonder while we sat in the back of that car getting ready for summer shenanigans. It was so much fun. But it was big and boxy, so the question is, do they still make them the same way that they used to, right? Meet the 2025 Buick Envista. It's a small crossover utility vehicle built and meant for millennials, but don't tell your grandparents that. So let's get real and talk about the performance and driving of the Buick Envista. So let's start with this. Under the hood is a 1.2 liter EcoTech motor. It's a little itty bitty baby. So if you want to be the first one to the red light, well, you might not be. Unless, say, it's you in your Envista versus a Toyota Corolla. Then there's a chance, a fighting chance, that you might be able to take that vehicle in, say, a 0 to 60. But you're not buying the Buick Envista for performance. You're buying it as an everyday driver. You're never going to take it on the track. You're going to be making pit stops to Costco and the Nordstrom rack, not out to the racetrack. You like that? I can rhyme. So let's just talk about the drivability of the vehicle. Starting with overall feeling on the inside. Now, of course, with those EvoTech chairs, seats, I've got power controls on the side, allows me to get the vehicle and the car situated exactly how I want it. I think that's pretty cool. The steering wheel column is manual adjustment, which actually I prefer. So I can kind of have this car completely customized to the driving characteristics that I personally want. Your 0 to 60 and performance off the line is going to be, it's just not going to be encouraging. But like I said, it's not really meant for that. With that said, it's got a little bit of funness in it, and I would say I'm making that bold statement based on the fact that it's a smaller crossover vehicle. So when I hammer it, you can hear that engine kind of creep up. But there's one thing I failed to tell you on that 1.2 liter EcoTech motor, is that it's turbocharged. So you're getting just a hair more performance out of the vehicle because it's got a turbocharger, and it's mated with a 6-speed automatic transmission. So when you hit that third gear and kind of mash that pedal down, the car's gonna giddy up and move just a little bit. And to just have a little bit of fun with the Buick Envista and talking about that suspension, we wanted you to experience, ultimately what it feels like to get a root canal, or to at least at a minimum feel your teeth rattle. And that's just doing the speed bump test, right? So we just kind of wanted to wander through our local park and just kind of at full speed see what that speed bump feels like. It's not very forgiving. We'll do one more for you. Ready? I mean, I think I just felt a filling come out. I think overall, if you're gonna get a vehicle like this, you are gonna be a millennial or you are gonna be a grandparent. I can tell you, the point I'm at in life, it's not really the fit for me, but there's a great market demand for vehicles that are economical like this. And as I mentioned, you're gonna be hard pressed to find something under $30,000 that comes more equipped than this vehicle right here. And I think General Motors knew that when they built the Chevy Trax, and then that DNA obviously carries over into this Buick Envista right here. Just to give you a little bit more of a feel, we hit that performance button there, right? That I say that meaning hitting the accelerator pedal. The car does what I need it to do, and that's all I can ask of it. Welcome to the interior of the Buick Envista, and right off the top, it's kind of exciting on the interior. A little bit more than I bargained for, right? You think sub $30,000 vehicle that you're not going to get a lot of cool technology, but you get it with this vehicle. So let's start with that right up front. 11-inch touchscreen right here as part of your infotainment screen. Then your digital gauge cluster over here feels a little bit more like an iPad mini on the left side, completely boxed in. And they widen it out with extra real estate to give you the look and feel of a wider screen, but it's really encapsulated right here, and it's a small little area on the left side over here for your digital gauge. What's really cool is that although a lot of General Motors products do not allow for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, they force you into the Google Store or Google Play. You have that with this. So I have my iPhone connected, and this is my Apple CarPlay, and I really dig that feature. Steering wheel, general status on the steering wheel, nothing, no frills. It's just standard protocol, right? You're going to have your cruise control. You do have a heated seat or a heated steering wheel option, which is pretty cool. And then if you want to activate anything on your infotainment screen, you can hold the button here and you can turn on and activate your Apple CarPlay, which is what I'm doing right there. Up top, you have OnStar, which is fantastic. So even in their subpar brands, you're going to get OnStar on the vehicle, which I think is awesome. Little small, teeny tiny moonroof up on top. And then as we make our way down, you've got USB-C and USB charging, which is great. Still utilizing USB because that's what grandma's going to use. And USB-C, that's what the young millennials are going to use. The interior was designed, from what I understand, by a Gen Zer. So they built it in mind with exactly what they want. The seats are actually called EvoTex seats, T-E-X. And if you translate that, that means, look, if I spill my latte on the seat, I'm going to be able to easily clean it up. 2 cup holders right here, speaking of Starbucks, and then on the inside, you got a nice deep little storage compartment. You got wireless induction up on front. Lane keep assist is something that comes with this vehicle. So when we talk about safety, front crash avoidance, rear pedestrian detection, lane keep assist, all things that you would expect in a higher end vehicle, you're going to get with the Buick Envista. And I'll close it out with this: double stitching up here on your dash. Follows trim line along into the side of the vehicle as well. Carries over into the EvoTech seats. Overall, they've done a bang up job on the interior to give you something that feels really, really cool. And to close out the interior, I just wanted to talk about the specific blue color. This is called Santorini Blue, which marries in really well to the exterior, which they're calling Ocean Blue Breeze. So let's get out and take a look at what makes the exterior so cool, because it's designed by a Gen Z or millennial. Let's talk about exterior styling. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about the DNA of the Buick Envista. It's actually part of General Motors, as we've already discussed, and that means that it shares the same platform and DNA as the Chevy Trax, which is one of their most affordable vehicles and easiest to get into if you want to buy a Chevy product. So you've got cross-platform DNA, which is really important to consumers because you're getting a lot of consistency with the vehicle build. They come off the same assembly line. All right, so let's dig in. Let's talk about what makes this a crossover and different for the Buick brand. I'm just going to start right along the front. You have the new modern Buick logo, red, white, and blue, a little bit of Americana built there in the front. And you got a pretty traditional front grille on this. There's nothing that says wow. There's nothing that says boring. It's just kind of a general look on the front of this vehicle. I do really like the LED lights that cross way into the center line of the vehicle. I think that gives it, if I step back, it gives it really a pronounced look. And then they've got that ST logo on here, which gives it, you know, that little more, tells you it's a little bit more of the performance and sportier stance. And to give it the sporty look, they've gone with 19-inch machine-faced aluminum wheels. First time I've ever said machine-faced aluminum wheels. So that means the exterior side of your wheel is aluminum. Does that mean the inside is steel? Some kind of different alloy? I'm going to guess so. Continental tires, so a little bit of an upgrade, right? Continental makes a great tire. And then if you kind of start to look at the exterior design of this as well, I love this color. This color is absolutely one of my favorite colors within the General Motors lineup, and they're wearing it on this Envista. You come all the way down, you got the blue with black trim, kind of coming all the way down. And then we always talk about A-pillar, B-pillar, C-pillar. Your C-pillar rakes down and gives it that more performance-oriented crossover stance. I will tell you, when you're tall, be careful getting in the back. I have hit my head on here twice. Not a lot of fun, but look how wide that door opening is right there, at least the entry point. I wish this was a 90-degree opening door, geared to millennials, young families. You want easier access into the vehicle. I think that's one thing the engineering team could change. Again, right here, this little trim piece, just kind of giving it more of a modern and sophisticated look. I dig it. And then we make our way all the way around to the rear. The same LED light structure that you have on the front of the vehicle, you're going to have on the rear of the vehicle. Big, bold, embossed Buick logo with the same emblem here on the rear. And then you can look back, you got Envista on the left. They didn't put the ST on the back of it, kind of an interesting part of it. And then as we open up the rear, let's take a look in the rear deck lid. It's where we store all our gear. I'll tell you what, first glance, decent room for a small little crossover utility vehicle like this with the 60-40 split chairs. Again, you're talking not a lot of frills for under $30,000 from a standpoint of cargo capacity, but overall, I think it looks pretty awesome. I mean, fit a couple suitcases in there. And we think about it, right? Again, millennial family, you're going to have a lot of functionality. You got your sensor down here for your rear pedestrian detection, which leads me into a little bit of safety, right? Front crash avoidance, rear pedestrian detection, lane assist, and lane keep. So modern technology built into a vehicle that still is sub $30,000. Overall, I think the design's pretty awesome. And again, when you think about that price point and the target market that you're going after, it's going to attract millennials. It's also going to attract my grandparents. So let's get down to the nitty gritty, and that is pricing. And you know what? I'm actually more excited to talk about pricing than maybe the rest of the vehicle, which is kind of nuts. In fact, I think I go the opposite direction with every single vehicle review that I do. It's like, oh, the car is amazing, but the price sucks. It's so high. Not in the case of the Buick Envista. I'm actually really pumped up about this price because if you're watching this video and you're considering a vehicle and know that the average transaction rate of a new car is sitting right around $47,000, this thing is going to absolutely blow your socks right off your feet. Like, you're going to run to a dealer and be like, I want to buy one of these. I had to get the Monroney out because I didn't believe it, which has all the vehicle specifications on it. So listen to this. The starting price of a Buick Envista, plain Jane, is going to be sitting right around $23,000. And that is remarkable. Think about that. Say it out loud. A brand new vehicle in 2025 at $23,000. At the beginning of this, you heard me say that you're going to be hard-pressed to find another vehicle in the market that surpasses $30,000. This vehicle, fully loaded with the ST trim, sits just north of $30,000. It's like $30,495. And you get all of this technology, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, like you get the front crash avoidance, rear pedestrian detection, the really cool Ocean Breeze color, 19-inch wheels, black for that kind of price. I think that's absolutely amazing. So if I had to put a chasing horsepower seal of approval on a vehicle, outside of the fact that you got that itty bitty motor, you get it with an itty bitty price. And that is significant. Would I put my kids in this vehicle? Without a doubt, I would put them in this vehicle. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as we've enjoyed telling you more about the 2025 Buick Envista. This thing far exceeded our expectation, especially when it comes to that price. And if you're not following us on our other social channels, please do, and smash that subscribe button here on YouTube so that we can keep bringing you guys these videos. On the other social channels, you know what it is. It's just chasing horsepower. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can find us on all your favorite platforms. Thanks for watching this video.